Welcome to Second Act Sisters. In this show, we are diving into the art of rediscovering romance and reconnecting with your partner. We are Kiora and Brook, and today we're talking about one of the most rewarding and sometimes overlooked relationships in our lives, dating our husbands again. Whether you've been together for a decade or a year or a decade, relationships take love, laughter, and a little bit of effort to keep the spark alive. So as we have become empty nesters, we'll explore fun dating ideas, candid conversations, and fresh ways to fall back in love with each other. So grab a cozy spot and let's bring back the butterflies and remember why you fell in love in the first place.
All right. Welcome to our episode. We're so glad that you joined us. And we're so excited
for this topic.
It's one that we really like our husbands. So
we do a little bit.
Welcome every opportunity to talk about them. All right. So I want to start the podcast out by talking about personal connection. Is that all right?
Yes. You know what we didn't put on here?
What?
Our whys.
Ooh, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. Let's do it with about our husbands.
Okay.
So my why would be my husband, because our relationship is always evolving and growing. And sometimes life gets so in the way between work and church. And I'm not going to say to everyone because they might listen.
And grandkids. I'll say it because I don't have any.
That it takes a little bit more effort. And we were lucky enough last weekend to get away for a couple days, and it was a good time. Just fun to just be the two of us.
I love that. My why would also be my husband, and I am feeling especially so this week. He's been at the Microsoft convention in Chicago, and I have missed him so much. so much. You know, he's my best friend and he's the love of my life. And when he's not here for me to just talk to and spend time with for a whole week, it seems like years have gone by. Yeah. But just like you said, he is my world and my heart, and I can't wait to see him on Sunday and give him a big hug and a big kiss and just have him at home.
Hey, so I'm going to throw this in there. Okay. So when he is out of town, do you talk to him during the day? How do you guys communicate?
So we text during the day. He can't really call because he's in classes and stuff and it's noisy. Yeah. But we text during the day. And then when he gets back to his hotel, we call and we have like an hour-long conversation and we just talk about the day and everything. And then we have a prayer together and then
that's awesome. That's kind of how we've always done it. Yeah. We even when he's in town, we text throughout the day, but we stay in contact. And to each their own, but I have had friends who they don't talk to their spouse the whole time they're out of town. And I'm like, what in the world?
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we're far more connected than that.
Yes. I can't imagine going a whole day without talking to my husband.
Yeah. Something happens, I want to tell him.
Yeah, same. And when one of us is away, or even when we're both in town and we just see something cool, we take pictures and share it that way too. So, yeah. And we're just involved in each other's lives.
No, yep. I think that's another good point.
Yeah, it goes right along with personal connection.
Yes.
I mean, what better example, right?
So now we threw that in there.
Yeah, I think that was really, it just is the perfect segue into it because like one of the things I wanted to talk about is why personal connection is so important. And I think we just covered that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're traveling. But just in general, even if you're in the same house, having a personal connection and communication with your spouse is just key to keeping that closeness and keeping your partner informed on your interests, what's important to you. I mean, if you're sending memes or pictures of things going on, you're obviously connecting over that, and your partner is going to know what interests you and what makes you laugh and what makes you cry, and what makes you have concerns or what calms your concerns. So that personal connection is really important in maintaining a relationship.
I do remember having, when the kids were all home, we would still text each other in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the only way we could get a chance to communicate. So the kids would make fun of us. They'd be like, "Are you texting Dad?" Totally.
Okay, I didn't realize that I had my mute on. So I'm sitting here commenting, but my mute was on.
Okay, so 7.
Oh, no, I was just going to keep it in. That's just life.
Hey, like we said, we're authentic and real.
We are. We're trying really hard not to erase and correct things. Oh, yeah. No, totally. We do the same thing. Even now, we do the same thing. Yeah. When we're together, but we're not alone and we want to send a message to each other, we text each other in the same room all the time. At church. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
We do not sit together at church for any of the meetings. And so that's how we communicate during church.
Funny.
Okay. So one other thing that I wanted to share about personal connection goes all the way back to one of my bridal showers. And it was actually your mom who gave me this piece of advice, and she wrote it down on a little recipe card, as you did back in the 90s. And I think they still do it today, but not as much. But she said to make sure that we worked on our relationship always, no matter what, that we always had a date night, that we always took time to communicate and pray with each other, because one day our children would grow up and move away and we'd be stuck with just each other. And if we hadn't worked on that relationship and stayed close and learned how to communicate with each other, we would be left as strangers. And so that has been something that we have really taken to heart through our marriage. And, sometimes maybe the kids weren't happy that we were going on a date or going to the temple or something because they wanted to be with us or do stuff with us too. But we had to just say, it's important that we go out, just the two of us every once in a while. It's okay. We got to keep that relationship fresh and alive and that connection fresh and alive. So
that must have been where I got that from, because we have felt the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember
it must be
watching friends that would say things like, we'll figure it out once the kids leave home. And I'm like, oh, you're going to be just strangers then. You've got to build the relationship along the way.
It's so hard if you wait.
So, and it's just, it just really made me sad watching those. So I'm going to share a quick story. So, I'm sure I've talked about it before, but Adam used to travel all the time. Mm-hmm. I think we can only come up with 1 or 2 states he's never been to. And internationally, as you know, he's been all over the place.
Oh, yes.
So he was gone a lot. So when COVID hit, he was home. I think he was actually supposed to be headed to London. Oh,
wow.
And we got to thinking, this is more time than we've had in years, even in like 20, to have this much of each other all the time. Mm-hmm. And we remembered that we still like each other, and it was a good thing.
That's good.
But you get so wrapped up in life, you're like, you forget. So I'm glad we had nurtured that relationship, and he's pretty much been home ever since COVID. And
That's right.
I love it. Although he now has an office in town, but I love having him home. And I know COVID was hard, but I loved having my family home.
Yeah, it was hard.
Reconnect.
Mm-hmm. I know it was hard just because of everything that was going on and having people suffer and losing people because of it. But I would go back in a heartbeat to having everybody at home all day, every day.
There was a simplicity to that time period.
Yeah.
And just being with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. There's no other way we could have gotten that without the world shutting down.
It's true. I keep waiting for it to happen again. I'm like, I'm ready for it. Not for the pandemic part, but just, can the world just shut down again so we can just be home? Can we just do like quarterly?
Yes. Oh, there you go.
Have a month of shutdown. I think that would be all right.
I'm good with it. It was a horrible time and it was a scary time, but I'm so grateful for the time we had together.
Me too. We had friends that really had a difficult time and their marriages didn't last during COVID. And it was because of that exact reason. They hadn't nurtured their relationship. And so then you're in a house and things just start to really get in the way emotionally. And if you aren't able to look at the positive things and really point out the good things in your partner and look past the things that they're not bad things, but the things that might be like, oh, I really don't like it when this. If you can't look past that and celebrate all of the things that you love about your partner, then you need work.
Yeah.
You got to do work. I mean, we all have traits that get on people's nerves. That's just part of being human. But if you're working on your relationship with your spouse, those things are not going to be the things that shine. It's going to be all the things you love about them that shine.
Yeah. Well, and when you present yourself as a united couple, and it can truly be felt that it's sincere.
Oh, yeah.
Life-changing, especially for the children.
Yep. I know. And all the children all need to have examples of what a good relationship is and what it takes, what that communication takes and what the time takes to build that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So important. Especially as I've watched, well, you have too. Our kids move on to this next period in life. I just recently had one share with me that your spouse really has to be your best friend. And I loved that they had sincerely come to that.
Yeah. On their own, right?
Yeah. They deep down understood that. That's
so cool. That's when you're like, okay, I did something right.
Exactly. So it's so important to keep our relationship strong during the child chaos, as we know. And like I said, showing that united front. But it's also important to continue to nurture and love that relationship. So
yes.
As I was thinking about this, I went back to the love languages.
Because I love the love languages.
So true. You'll laugh. So Adam's love language is touch. Like if I'm sitting by him, he just wants, put my hand on his leg or, just that touch. I feel like my love language changes every day.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not sure which one it is. Stronger. But no, it changes every day.
I feel that way sometimes too.
So poor Adam has to try and keep up with that.
It's like roulette. It's love language roulette with you, right?
Yep. It's like, what am I getting today? What was I going to say? He is the one I want when dealing with stress or anxiety. He helps ground me. And it's a process we've been working on our entire married life. Like I know, and I'm sure you're the same way, you can hear it when something's off. Or I can see it in his eyes. And it goes both ways. But that's taken nurturing over 30 years. Gosh, 30 years in February. And sometimes as I was out of town in Arizona a week or so ago and I got home, he's like, I just don't function when you're gone. Like,
That's so sweet.
I know. As I cleaned out the fridge today, I know. Did you guys forget to eat what I left? No, he just, I don't need to even be with him. He just needs to know that I'm here. And it kind of it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I think I'm just going to say something about the love languages. I think even if, like you know that his is physical touch, but that's not your thing. But the fact that you're willing to do physical touch to meet his needs, I think that's so important. Doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, or not even comfort zone, just something that's not the thing that...
It's not the first thing you think of.
Yeah.
It's not
doing that for your partner because you know that that's their thing. I think that's huge.
I love the love languages because it presents the idea of looking at what your significant other needs from you by their love language.
Yeah. And that carries over, I think, when you're observing those things like the love languages, you're also observing your spouse's emotional needs, what they need emotionally to grow as a person and to grow in your relationship. And so I think that's important to make sure that you know what your spouse needs and make sure that you're striving to meet those needs, even if they're not your emotional needs. But on the other side of that pendulum, you also need to understand what your emotional needs are. And you have to be able to communicate those to your spouse so that your spouse has an opportunity to meet your emotional needs.
And you got to love being a girl because sometimes I'm like, you just need to figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't tell you today.
I'm giving you the look and you should be able to translate that into what I need.
Did you read the signals? Yes.
Yes.
Poor men.
Yes. I know. Those poor guys. They're pretty great though. And that's not something that just comes naturally. I think when you're in the Twitter-pated newlywed stage, it kind of comes more naturally because you want to do all of the things to make yourself
aware.
Yeah, you want to make yourself appealing and you want the person that you're chasing or that you've newly married to find you attractive. So you're doing all those things and reaching out, but it's so easy just to get tired and kind of let it slip by and not work on it so much. So regular communication and regular emoting of your needs is super important in a relationship.
So that leads right into, I have some strategies to nurture the aspects of your relationship. And the first one is to understand your own emotional needs, which I think you just talked about.
Yeah.
And then the second was to seek to understand your spouse's needs.
Yes.
Which we also have addressed.
Yes.
So number 3 is important. Develop emotional resilience, patience, manage stress together, and seek personal fulfillment.
Can I tell you how many times in my marriage I've totally jumped off the cliff because I just think we're doomed to not work out because he did not notice I got my hair cut or whatever, some days are just really hard. But having that patience and just learning how to manage your emotions, that's a big deal.
Well, manage the stress when it arrives because it will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't take it out on your spouse.
Yes. So number 4 is build emotional intimacy. Share vulnerability, cultivate moments to connect, and show affection.
Yes. So important.
Which I think we will also talk more about dating ideas and stuff in a little bit.
Yes.
So then number 5 is learn together.
Definitely.
In our case, there's always, you guys just built a shed. I would have no idea how to build a shed.
We can teach you.
We are, working on, because I have a new calling, an emergency preparedness rep. So we're diving into that together. There's a link.
That's great.
He bought a book all about bugging out. So we're doing it together.
I love it. I think that's great.
And the last one is prioritize forgiveness and gratitude. Let go of resentment and celebrate small wins.
that one I think is probably the most important.
Yeah.
When you hold on to things, all it does is fester and create resentment begets resentment. And all that does is just make the wedge firm in your relationship instead of kicking the wedge out and moving forward. So I think that is probably one of the biggest things.
So I thought those were great.
Yeah, I think that's good too. Can I just say one more thing about prioritizing forgiveness?
Always.
I think right along with that, if you are holding on to resentment or you're upset or angry or whatever, and you're holding on to that and you start withholding communication, withholding affection and emotional intimacy, or physical intimacy because of something that you're holding on to, that is definitely a time to check yourself. You should not be withholding anything because you're upset.
Well, and check your relationship, see where you need to make amends.
Yeah. Those types of things should not be used as, I don't even know what the word is, as punishment. That withholding something in your relationship should not be used as a punishment method. That's really destructive. Yeah.
Okay. So how about new opportunities?
Yeah. So, just like being empty nesters is a new thing. It presents new opportunities for your relationship with your husband and with your children, with your adult children. So one of the things you can do is highlight how not having parenting opportunities on the daily, all day long, and responsibilities can allow you to return to a one-on-one connection. So more time to spend studying the scriptures or going to the temple or going on dates or learning new hobbies, like all the things we've already talked about, right? So not letting that absence of parenting time just get filled in with stuff that doesn't matter.
Yes, which is so easily can.
Mm-hmm. So easily, yeah. When you spend 8 hours watching a Netflix series, but you haven't even said 2 words to each other during that 8 hours, it's not a good thing. I mean, every once in a while, but not on the daily or the weekly, probably.
Well, and there's been many times we're doing our own thing, but we're sitting there together just so we're together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, all the time. As you know, I have a business, and when I'm cutting fabric, I could be in my office cutting the fabric, but usually I choose to go out and I'll communicate to Paul, like, this is the day I'm going to cut fabric. So if you want to do something, and he'll usually get on one of his games that he plays with a friend online, but I'll take the fabric out there. And so I'm out there, they're laughing and having their game time, and I'm just a part of it all, and I'm commenting, and it's so much fun. So, and we're together. So
you don't have to have all the same likes, but you can still be together.
No, I have no desire to play his games, and he has no desire to cut fabric. So it's okay, but we're still together, and we're supporting each other in our hobbies and our likes that way. Yes. So, another thing to do is to eat meals together, especially dinner. I feel like dinner's the one meal that everybody who's living in the house is usually home at the same time for. Breakfast and lunch, everybody's leaving at different times. We're at different places, but dinner time, that should remain a priority. Just because you're not preparing a big meal for a family, you can still prepare a nice meal for two and sit down and talk about your day and talk about your plans and your hopes and your dreams and your frustrations. Like, talk about all of it over the dinner table.
Yep. And dinner's a great time to do it.
Yeah. One of the things that we like to do when we eat dinner together, when it's just the two of us, is we'll turn on a conference talk and listen to it.
Well, that's a good idea.
And while we eat, and then we'll talk about the conference talk and maybe some goals that we want to make from what we've learned there. Or emotions that it brings up or ideas that it brings up. So that is one of our favorite things to do when it's just the two of us. And then we kind of already talked about this, but being supportive of your spouse and their hobbies, even if they're not your hobbies that you like to do. And Paul has always supported me in whatever I want to do, in the many different business pursuits I've done, in the many career changes I've had. He's always the first one to be like, yeah, go for it. Like, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you put your mind to. And I'm the same for him. Like, I never doubt. If he says he can move the stairs or build a shed, I say, yes, you can. And we put our knowledge together that we've learned from my dad. Mostly, it's mostly my dad who's taught us all these things. And if we need help, we ask for help from my dad. My brother is also a really good resource when we take on these big projects, or we dial into the University of YouTube. But we learn together and we do it together. And there's never anything that I said, no, you can't do that, to him. And he's never said that to me. So it's important.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like Adam's done the same thing. All the crazy adventures with the kids. And so here's a funny story. So I've had 2 kids have their appendix out. And both times he's like, I'm just going to stay in bed. Because it's always, the middle of the night. Because that's how everything works. And he's
of course.
Like, let me know. Because I'm like, you so don't believe it's their appendix, do you? And he's like, and both times we had to call and say, come to the hospital.
Oh, no. Oh, that's crazy.
2 of the times he wasn't quite on board, but I think he was like, I am sleeping.
Yeah, don't interrupt them when they're sleeping.
Yes. So
us, on the other hand, we're used to it. That's just part of being
middle of the
mom.
night. It's just what we do.
Yep.
So let's see. I was going to reflect a little bit, and I've talked about it before, but I was just going to touch base on our story because it's a little bit different. And one of my favorite things is to have Adam tell our story. People ask, what's your story? How long have you guys known each other? Blah, blah, blah. I'm always like, you got to ask Adam.
Yeah.
He just tells it better.
He did a good story on our husband's episode.
Meet Our Spouses episode. So if you want to get
Meet
about that, that's where it is. But listening to him tell the story and watching the emotions that it brings to him just take me back to all those moments again. And he still makes my heart skip a beat.
Oh, so sweet.
Just love him. So remember why you fell in love and share that with your spouse.
Yeah.
It's important that they know.
That is another piece of advice that your mom gave us, is that when we were on our wedding day, to remember all of the things that we felt and all of the love that we had and all of the excitement we had, and hang on to that. And anytime we were in a position where we were struggling, to reflect back on those feelings that day and really try and get those back.
Yeah.
She was a wise woman.
Oh, she was.
She is a wise woman.
She could just send us a little bit more from the other side.
If she could just come back, that would be great.
So, let's see. We talked about building a friendship with your spouse and how to do that. And life is just sweeter when you share it with your best friend.
Yes.
Okay, so focus on the gestures, ideas, fun things, ways to date your husband again. And so Adam unloads the dishwasher for me. It is one of my most despised chores. I will load it any day, but don't make me unload it. And he usually does it while I'm sitting at the table watching, because I'm not helpful.
I love that.
And I love it. And I so appreciate it.
Yeah. Paul pretty much does everything in the house, from the toilets to the scouring the tub to laundry to dishwasher, whatever. He'll just do whatever. Like he just will notice what needs to be done and he'll just do it without being asked, which is just so attractive. It really is. During COVID, he was home exclusively. Like I can probably count on one hand the amount of times that he went into the office in that year, pretty much, that we were home. But I went into the office once a week, and I was also like, I had a lot of work to do. I was learning a new job. I started my job as an estimator the day before we shut down, basically.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, it was like 2 days. So I started on Monday, the 17th, I think it was, of March. And on Wednesday, we had an earthquake. And by Friday, we were shut down. So I guess it was like a week. But it was quite the week. But I was learning a job that I had been told was hands-on only job remotely. So I was consumed, and he just took over everything. He did. I'm not kidding you. He did everything. All I did was work, and I would cook occasionally, but he cooked, he cleaned, he did the laundry. He just did it all. That's because awesome. I was overwhelmed. And there's nothing more attractive than a partner who sees what needs to be done and just takes care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pictures is President Nelson pushing a vacuum.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Push the vacuum a floor for me. I would love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's great. And Paul does a really good job at floors. He does.
Yes. So I put down focused time together, even if it's talking about finances or how to get the house ready for Thanksgiving, and put your phone down and focus.
Yes. Especially at the dinner table. But anytime your spouse is talking to you, put your phone down.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing right then. Unless they've asked you to look something up.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the phone can definitely be a distraction, and it's important to put it down.
So has he seen your Thanksgiving list yet?
Yes.
I mean, I have. Yep. It's pretty impressive.
So, I've done all of the list. He's doing all of his part tomorrow.
Excellent. You did all of those things on your list already?
Well, the ones that...
Oh, my Lanta.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive.
So there's this video going around through the family of this dinosaur with little arms.
Oh, yes. Making the bed?
No, barking all this stuff. My daughter sent it out, and she's like, this is Mom at Thanksgiving.
Is it a T-Rex?
Yes.
My favorite meme is the T-Rex trying to make the bed wrinkle-free.
Uh-huh. So some other things we listed was getaways for the night. Mm-hmm. Hey, we might have an empty house, but it's so nice to get away occasionally. And for me, it's if I leave the house, then I can forget about the chores that need to be done.
Yep, same.
If I'm here, it stays on my thoughts. So the one thing I'm always telling Adam is just bring me swig.
Yes.
I small thing, but I would love it.
Yep. Paul will often stop at the Maverick because there's a Maverick on the way home, and he knows I love a Maverick fountain drink, and he'll just show me the fountain drink, or he'll just show up with a fountain drink, not show it to me. Sorry, I got distracted. My daughter is staring at me. I just looked up and she was there like the creepy ghost lady, No, I'm just kidding.
So, dropping off lunch to your spouse at work, tickets to your favorite concert, wink, wink. I got to do that this year, and he totally surprised me with that.
That's so fun.
It was so fun. Well, and now we went to the B-52s, which, just so you know, they're old.
No, they're not.
They're
our age. No, they're older than us, but
they're in their 70s. They're all one of them's almost 80.
Okay,
so they're old.
All right, then they're quite a bit older than us.
But it was still a fun show. So, and showing gratitude for who they are, let them know how much you appreciate them and what they do for the family.
Yep.
So what are some of your ideas for dating? See, because there's always temple. We try to do that twice a month.
Yeah. So we do Temple Tuesday together. And most of the time we get there on Temple Tuesday. Every once in a while something comes up and we either have to reschedule or we just don't make it that week.
Yeah.
But we're like at 90% Temple Tuesday attendance. Just, this sounds silly, but just going to Costco and walking around.
That's our date.
We like to do that.
If you need me, I'll be at Costco.
That's right.
With my husband.
Yeah, with my husband, walking around. Sometimes we'll get a hot dog. Sometimes I'm like, no, it'll give me heartburn.
Yeah.
So I'd rather get something else somewhere else. Going to dinner is one of our things. And then we have shows that we like to watch together. And so that is like, we'll say, okay, tonight we're going to watch the Great British Baking Show. And that's our night to catch up on that, or whatever it is that we're watching for the time. But, those are, and then playing games. We love to play games. So yeah, those are some of our things.
Well, and this will sound silly, but we are totally one of those that have a TV in our bedroom, and
so do we.
We try to put the phone down at 10, right around 10,
mm-hmm.
and then we watch a silly show before we go to bed. But it's just late, being there together, watching something silly.
And relaxing and just letting go of the cares of the world.
Yeah.
We do the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. One thing that we like to do also is we like to go out and try new things. So like we've taken a sword fighting, a fencing class together.
Oh, wow.
We've done paint nights together, pottery. I'm trying to think of the things that we've done. We just look for what's going on in the community education classes around us, and we'll sign up for a little class, or we'll decide to read a book together, or I don't know, just those kinds of things. So
we've started taking classes. At Harmon's, doing cooking.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. We've done cooking classes. Yeah,
so fun. Plus, you get good food.
They are so fun. I know, so fun. But getting curious about what things you want to try, whether it's a new hobby or new foods or traveling someplace, and then just having those deeper conversations and asking your spouse questions. Like, it's not silly to ask your spouse, what's your favorite color? Because it's probably changed since 30 years ago when you had the conversation when you were dating, just those type of things. And who's your favorite band? What's your favorite song? Those kinds of things. I wouldn't call that a deeper conversation, but they lead into deeper conversations. And spending time together, like when I'm going to share this. A friend posted this about counseling together. First, sit down together, pray, and then ask each other if there are any bones to pick. This is not from the post. This is me interjecting. This leads to the deeper conversation. The post went on to say this can be a very vulnerable question, but it saved us from so many small issues becoming big elephants in the room. And I could not agree more. And this is on topics, anything from finances to physical intimacy, all of these things. Our relationships and our ideas change, and we need to be willing to pivot with those as we grow. We're not the same people we were when we were 20. And so
true.
We've got to be willing to have those deeper conversations and not be scared to just roll up the sleeves and dig in and find out if there are any little bones to pick, and to work through those things so that they don't become big things. And I want to share a little story about personal intimacy. So if you're uncomfortable with personal intimacy, I'm not going to get graphic or anything, but I'm just going to talk. If you're uncomfortable with that, maybe you should skip to the end. But just like we're not the same people we were when we were 20, and our needs change, what we enjoy on a physical intimacy level changes as we get older, especially as women, especially if you're starting to go through menopause and perimenopause. Things change, and things that you might have enjoyed when you were 20, you might not enjoy now. And it's important to communicate that, because that part of your relationship needs to stay alive just as much as the communication needs to stay alive. And so being able to open up and be vulnerable with your partner about what works for you on a physical intimacy level and what no longer works for you, super important.
Well, and that comes from having built a relationship over all the years so that you feel comfortable doing that.
Right. And so so your partner doesn't feel like you're rejecting them either. Like, it's not about just because I don't enjoy this thing like I used to, doesn't mean I'm rejecting you, but instead do this thing. Yeah. This thing I really like, but this thing not so much anymore. And then, it can bring some spark and excitement back into that part of your relationship.
Good information. It's not an easy one.
No,
it's not an easy one at any point, but very worthwhile and worth the work.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I found just in our relationship when we were willing to open up about the physical intimacy side of things, that because we were willing to open up, it got less weird to talk about it, or less uncomfortable, and less, not really embarrassing, but just kind of awkward. And it became more of an exciting thing, an exciting whole new world opened up type of thing,
Yes.
So it's been great. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're about ready to wrap it up for today. Do you have anything else? No, I think we covered it all.
I don't think so. I think we did too. Yeah. I think we did too. I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
I was
just kind of looking over my notes
to encourage our listeners not to put any crazy pressure on every date, and to embrace lightheartedness and flexibility. And Adam and I take turns. We try to, I think I mentioned, we go to the temple twice a month, and then the other 2 weeks of the month, we'll each take and plan the date.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's fun. There's my dog. Can you hear her?
I was like, is that mine? Did she come back?
No. That's Miss Thea.
And so it makes it fun. And even if that's staying home and doing something at home, it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Agreed. I'm so sorry. She's really upset.
Well, and you just have to remember that dating again is a continuous journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Years from now, we'll still be working on it.
That's right. Yeah. So I think it would be fun, in closing, to encourage all of our listeners to try one small dating idea this week and share it with us on our social media.
More ideas.
Yeah. Share with us one small dating trick or idea, or a fail even would be fun. Sometimes there are fails, and it's okay, and we can laugh about them. So yeah, we would love for you to share with us and just come along with us as we embark on this new chapter as empty nest daters, and just really enjoy rediscovering and strengthening the bonds you have with your partners, and enjoy prioritizing date night and exploring new activities and communicating and reigniting the spark that brought you together in the first place.
Well, and even if you're still trying to do this with kids at home, find another couple and trade off.
That's right. And remember, it's never too late to fall in love.
Oh,
with your spouse.
Yeah, I was going to quickly share. Adam and I used to date on Friday mornings, because that was the only time that we didn't have children.
Yep. Yeah, you get creative.
We'd go to the movies every Friday, and it was cheap.
Oh, yeah. Friday used to be like 50-cent Fridays or something like that. We're old, we know.
So you figure out how you make it work, and it's so worth it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. Remember to stay connected and stay in love and enjoy this beautiful journey together. And if you're not following us on Instagram at Second Act Sisters, or Facebook at Second Act Sisters, please do. And please share your dating adventures with us, and use the hashtag Empty Nest Adventures so that we can gather them all in one place.
And we love it. We're so glad you're here.
We are. Make sure you follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcast or YouTube also.
So we look forward to you being with us and for this journey that we're on. Who knows?
That's right. We love you.
We love you. Until next time.
Okay, bye.